Hey, listeners, we're back with another episode of LFG with Amir and Friends. Today, we've got a special guest with us. It's somebody Keenan and I have both known since high school days. It's been a while. Ryan Murphy, who has been traveling a lot, and he is a stuntman, and he's participated in American Ninja Warrior actually twice. So, yeah, Ryan, nice to have you on the show. And we're going to kick it off with one of Ryan's videos that showcases sort of what he's done. All right, Keenan, take it away.
We're now joined by Ryan Murphy, the Flying Murphy, the American Ninja Warrior. What's up, Ryan? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute, man. It's good to talk to you. Nice to see you again, Amir.
Nice to see you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Been doing a lot of traveling in the last 10 years, from about 21 to 31. Been traveling the world, doing crazy stuff, climbing on things, jumping off things. And I've lived in 4 continents. I've been to 30 countries. I spent about 2 years of my life abroad at this time. Just not in the U.S., not my home country. It's been life changing. Very grateful for it, and appreciate you guys seeing the value in it and having me on.
Yeah, and you're also doing something interesting right now. You're in the service, right? You're
Yeah, yeah, yep.
you're
I
stationed.
joined the military. COVID happened. I got laid off. Moved across the country. Couldn't get a job. Um, Military's always open, so that's where I'm at now.
Which branch of the military are you in?
So I joined Air Force. I just got back from my first deployment, and yeah, a couple years in, got a couple years left.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, you've done all this traveling, you've gone abroad, and now you're in the service, which is kind of an overseas experience as well.
Can be.
It's pretty interesting. You've kind of traveled off the beaten path, and you've done some amazing stuff. I remember that I first met you in the fourth grade at
Been a minute.
Charter Elementary, and the crazy thing is, so this is a bit of a personal story. When I first met you, I was at the time getting bullied, and you were the new kid. And the first time I ever actually hung out with you, I kind of was rude to you and was an asshole. And it was at a trip to one of the science centers. It was one of it was the San Jose Tech Museum or something. My dad was
Yeah.
chaperoning it.
Wow.
My dad was chaperoning it, and he told me, you can't be a jerk to people, and he chewed me out. And that was the first time I'd ever interacted with you. And then afterwards, we were kind of friends for a bit, and then you moved around and did some other stuff. But
Yep.
it's just funny that how people come around, and years later, you still know people, and you still,
Wow.
yeah, man. I mean, and you got a very down to earth kind of attitude, and so forth. And what I was going to say is that that kind of reflects all of your travels and your interests and your hobbies. What really got you into doing all this martial arts, all of these, extreme sports and so forth?
Yeah, so my physical resume is vast. Ever since I was a kid, I had interest in superheroes. I think Spider-Man and Power Rangers were like the '90s heroes for me. I always thought you'd grow up to be 6 feet and jack. Turns out you have to like actually work really hard to get there. You don't even have control over the 6 feet thing. So c'est la vie. But yeah, I started training martial arts. I think my first karate class I was like 10, and that wasn't serious. But when I started I saw a video of some Russian guys climbing on an abandoned building, and I think I was about 12 years old, and I started to realize, okay, playing on playgrounds is kind of weird. Climbing on stuff, going down slides, climbing up slides, this is all kind of weird. And I found videos online. YouTube was just coming out, and about climbing, just abandoned structures, buildings, urban environments, whatever. And then I discovered parkour, the whole parkour free running, and then the tricking world. And it's just been this sort of movement resume for my entire life. The last 10 years, last 20 years now, basically. Sort of been dabbling in martial arts, parkour, free running, tricking, stunt work, and just various other physical abilities. Gymnastics, I was a gymnastics coach for a while. My brother is actually a circus acrobat. He used to work with Cirque du Soleil. He had a couple contracts, and he got me into some circus acts like tramp wall. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's like a wall and a trampoline, and you jump from the trampoline to the wall. So I have been doing physical things forever, and I don't know. I just like it, man. I think the underlying reason is probably just to fulfill the childhood dream of trying to at least feel like a superhero. And so, there was a time, believe it or not, where I said I was never going to travel. It just sounded like a lot of work, sounded scary, it's kind of dangerous, unstable, and that changed when I went to college. And then they were like, yeah, you just go to this office and they talk to you about a program. And as a result, I studied abroad in Australia and Thailand. Not back to back, but like one in my junior. And then I think I waited a year and then I did it after my senior year, officially finished a year later. But totally worth it. And even just a year abroad living in another country, it's different than when you're a tourist. You're just trying to get the shots and like, and then peace out, just look good in front of the camera. But so it's been I'm so grateful for the mindset that I have that was just so open to experience different cultures, different architecture. And then parkour, free running, and the whole movement cultures there, they help me to sort of explore spaces that most humans will never explore and can't explore. And that again, so grateful to have been able to do that.
So Ryan,
yeah,
like
I think that answers the question.
What have you like picked up from the differences between the parkour community abroad versus here? Because I know you were part of the abroad community.
That's a really great question. Well, it just depends, man. Like, so the common traits of all the communities are they generally have a regular day to meet. I actually backpacked through Europe, sleeping on couches, going to hostels, but a lot of sleeping on couches and floors of guys in the communities of the various cities and countries that I went to. And that's how I did it for around like 10, 11 grand, somewhere in that range. And yeah, I didn't eat that much, but I slept on a lot of floors and couches. But I mean, what a life-changing experience. But that's the common ground. Things that are different, that's the cool part is there's not that much different. There's different languages, different cultures. I mean, the little things on the side, like in Australia, I think it wasn't uncommon to go to, can't remember the names of the stores, but you go into the equivalent of a grocery store and you come out with a chicken, and then people just share the chicken. We'd all just eat, and then we train for another 2 or 3 hours. I think maybe American communities kind of might go like more intense, but they go for less time. And I think Europeans, Australians, various communities they'll take more time. Like it really is a culture thing, But no matter where you go in the world, you'll find guys who like to jump off of stuff, sometimes girls too, and get themselves in places that most humans will never experience. And again, for that, I'm very grateful.
So I got some questions about all of this. I I think it's pretty crazy that like you've done all of these martial arts. You have multiple YouTube channels where you do like lightsaber dueling and stuff,
Mhm.
and you've done stunt work as well. You've done things with you know,
Fight choreography and
yeah, fight choreography is what I was going to say. Um, so you've also, as we've mentioned before, you've applied for American Ninja Warrior twice and all that. Maybe you can give us some background on that as well.
yeah. So goodness, if I go back to the origins of my interest in it, so it goes back to kind of wanting to be like a video game character. Sort of almost everything that I've done has kind of been trying to bring like some fantasy character into reality, and in a lot of senses, that's what I've done. Um, I mean, I've got a parkour channel which is themed towards the Uncharted series. If you know anything about the video game Uncharted, Nathan Drake, sort of. I've got it's Uncharted parkour in real life, and that's on YouTube. You can just look that up. Now, if you want to see me jumping off crazy stuff all over the world in jeans and Henley shirts, so that's that. Um, but yeah, so the aim was to try to become the closest thing to a real life video game character that I could be. And I don't think that was conscious. I think I just did that over time, and it was just like accumulated skills, similar like you would a character. You just build on skills. So G4 was the gaming channel back in the day, and they did the American Ninja Warrior. If you remember, like the old school way, it was really about the obstacles.
Right.
And actually, one of the guys who I met on my first time ever at training had been in, I think it was called Sasuke back then, in Japan. They only did it in Japan, I think. And I messed up my hand, and he was really nice and humble, and he helped me. He's like, "Hey man, don't jump off that." I jumped off that, and I sliced my hand. And he wrapped it up. He was there, ready to go. He was, mature guy, but great dude. Anyway, so I looked into some of his stuff, and so he was doing some stunt work, and he was on G4. He went to Japan to go compete at the actual Ninja Warrior, the original. And so as a result, American Ninja Warrior eventually came about. And I think there's an Australian one, and I think there's a European one. I think there's a UK one. I can't remember, but there's different ones all over the world now after that G4 one. And then that died down, and American Ninja Warrior came up, and I thought, well, I don't have to go to Japan now. That was a goal of mine at one point, was to go to Japan and compete Ninja Warrior. Didn't have to go. Turns out I was in college, and I just thought, screw it. Let me just submit submit a video. And I was like, got to make it big, got to make it cool. So I basically climbed to the top of a redwood tree and filmed myself monologuing, similarly to how I am doing with you now. The producer loved it, and she actually pulled me over to the side. The first day we were at Venice Beach, we were competing, and she pulled me over to the side, and she goes, "Are you Ryan Murphy?" I said, "Yeah." Is that true? Did you actually climb like 100 feet up? I was like, I'm pretty sure that tree was about 100 feet up. So, try to make it big, try to make it seen, and the producers loved it. So they let me. I didn't have to do the walk-on stuff. Some guys have to get in line and wait days just to have a chance. And she invited me, man. It was me and like 150 other people. I think we get invited based on a submission tape. There's a couple other ways to go. It's been a long time since I've done it, so I can't quite remember. I don't know how they do it now. You submit a tape. I think there's 100 some slots, and if they pick you, you get in. And if you don't, and you still want to do it, you can apply to be a tester, or you stand in line with a tent and wait, maybe for a chance. But so that's kind of what kind of drove me to do Ninja Warrior. I don't know. I just always liked ninjas. Always liked. Yeah, I think I took a ninjutsu class when I was in college. Yeah, and that's a whole other discussion. I could talk forever, guys. But took a bunch of different martial arts in college, and I just always liked ninjas. I tried to be as close to a ninja, or I'm thinking more superhero, like kind of like Spider-Man in real life is sort of the goal. But yeah.
All right. Well,
Kind
on that note, Ryan, we're gonna that was awesome insight. Appreciate it. We're gonna go on our first break of the episode. You guys got a nice taste for what Ryan has done, who he is, and some of the stunts and the competition that he was a part of. And yeah, so during the break, we're gonna actually play one of his videos, and then we'll be back for the second segment. So make sure you all stay tuned in, and catch you very soon.
Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Bangkok Breakdown, episode 2. And the topic that I want to talk to you guys today about are the concepts of safety versus danger and how you can kind of manipulate them to get more out of life. So kind of the meat of what I want to get to today is about how safety in and of itself is really just kind of an idea. For example, we're standing on top of a very old, very dilapidated hotel right now, and we can't do that in the States because it's dangerous. Now they're cracking down a little bit here as far as security goes. Apparently they found a dead guy in here, so now they're telling people, oh, you shouldn't go up, it's dangerous. But for the most part, the Thais, they're just kind of just saying it. They don't really mean it's dangerous and you shouldn't go. They're not really big, like strict on keeping you out. Where there are ways in, there's always people that are nice enough to let you in for a fee. But on the topic of safety as an idea, for example, I today have done some very, very dangerous things, things that I never would have thought that I would do, like climbing this building, resting in places that probably shouldn't be rested in, and other various jumps and flips that other people would see as dangerous, right? That's dangerous, that's bad, immediately labeled as bad, let's not do it. So, how do we break out of that paradigm if things are dangerous? Well, the way that I do it is you start out small and you make little incremental changes to your life to make it easier for you as you go. It's not all just one. It's not like I just woke up and can do a backflip. You know what I mean? It took time and you have to train and you do little things like that. So let me break this down for you basically. You can stand on a curb, you can walk on a curb on the street, no problem. You drive on roads that have two different directions, purely on faith, purely on trust. And if you were to stand, let's say on a curb, for example, in Bangkok, you're standing on the curb, you're pretty faithful that you're not going to fall off. But isn't it interesting how that changes as you go up in height? Now you're 10 feet, 20 feet, 100 feet. It's still more difficult every time you go up a certain height. For me, I find that there's a threshold of height, and I don't need to worry about it as much. Like a threshold, it's like I'm gonna die, so I don't really care anyway. I'm just here and this is comfortable for me. But you have to wonder if it's safe for me to stand right here, just here right now. It's perfectly safe for me to stand here. Why is it not okay for my brain? Why does my brain say it's not okay for me to stand on like a ledge that's down here, right? It's still solid, it's still the ground. There's really no difference other than you're 10 feet up. But if you don't look at how far, like don't look down, if you don't look at it, you don't feel like you're that far. Sometimes, another thing I like to think about is kind of like a squirrel, and like how a squirrel is able to scurry along all these branches and stuff. It doesn't look down, it's purely, its world, its reality, its floor, it's where it's grounded, becomes that tree branch. So you can kind of ground yourself wherever you are through incremental conditioning, kind of like I said. So you can start out walking on a curb on the street, and then you can walk on a railing, then you can walk on a wall, and then, you know, another 7 years later, now you're on top of a hotel in Bangkok. But yeah, with all that said, just to summarize the main points: safety, concept; danger, concept. Two concepts, that means that they're a mental construct that you've created and that the people around you have created and you've decided to allow kind of to rule your life. Not the worst thing in the world, because you'd probably be dead. You could be dead, potentially, if you didn't listen to any of them. But again, safety, danger, concepts in your mind doesn't exist. You can kind of think of, you're always in danger. There's two ways to kind of look at it, or you're always safe, in a way. If I decide that I'm safe up on this building over here, then I kind of am, within myself. Granted, you know, if a pterodactyl decides he wants to come and knock me off, then oh well. But things happen. But at the same time, as far as I'm concerned, if I feel I'm safe, I'm safe. So when you're in a dangerous situation, what's dangerous to some is not dangerous to others. And what is safe to some, in the same way, is not always safe to others. Like the boat, for example. We've got boats that move up and down. There's like very minimal railing, so it's kind of easy to fall off. But nobody does, because to them, and the Thais, I feel like they're just in a safer place internally. But anyway, and that is just about it. So here was Bangkok Breakdown episode 2, coming at you from Sapan Taksin, the Taksin Bridge, I think. Forgive me, Thai friends, if I said it wrong. And yeah, so with that said, I'm gonna crack out of here. It's a beautiful day. It's gonna be a beautiful night. I'll see you guys next time. He's taking the camera. He's probably not trying to kill himself. Sometimes I personally find it helps when I hum. Hum-de-dum-dum-dum. All the way to the store. And here we go.
Hey everybody, we're back from the first break of this episode. We've still got Ryan with us, yeah, this section of the episode is going to be really surrounding Ryan's philosophies, in terms of life and just how he's approached things throughout his journey. And we're also going to talk about some of the struggles that he's encountered, because he has 3 YouTube channels himself actually that he has created, and so we can relate in that way. And Keenan's going to talk to him also just about that particular journey. So let's get right into it and make sure you stay tuned in.
Hey Ryan, so I thought that was really cool. That video we just watched was about dangerous freedom or safety, but in a form of basically being enslaved by your fears.
Right.
Can you maybe tell us like how you came about that sort of revelation? And because it sounds like that's sort of like your underlying philosophy that drives you through everything.
Yeah, man, I've always been, well, I actually spent a lot of time, probably when you knew me, I was actually probably a very afraid person. This was 20 years ago, I think. I was actually very afraid. I spent most of my life, afraid of things not working out, afraid of not having control. And it's interesting how if you give permission to the world to do what it's going to do, there's a sense of freedom there. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about your nervous system trying to hijack the world and control everything. And as a result, you're more free. So to tie that into the video, this dangerous freedom, I believe it's dangerous freedom or peaceful slavery, I think.
Right. Peaceful
slavery to your mind, the confines that the things that limit you, the guardrails, right? A lot of those are designed to keep you safe and keep you alive. And that's absolutely valid. Those feelings are important and they should be acknowledged. I do not agree with dismissing and suppressing feelings. I say that now after 10 years of traveling the world, forcing myself in not all cases, but many cases, to jump off of stuff just to prove to myself that I did it. Not necessarily for the internet views, not necessarily for the clout, but I realized I did it for myself. And that's both good and bad. Anyway.
I can relate to that though, because
sorry, I was going to say to go back to exactly where that comes from. So comes up in parkour and stunts a lot, or maybe it's in stunt work, fighting. You're nervous to take a fall or take a punch or just jump off something or stand on something. What you want to do when you look at something on the ground and you can competently, confidently, and cleanly complete it. My argument, and I think a lot of parkour gurus would say it as well, is that there's no reason why you can't do this 50 stories up. Now, it just so happens that the video that you're looking at is me doing a flip, and then there's a couple others where I'm doing a handstand and I'm climbing 50 stories. I found an abandoned building that allowed me to go 50 stories up, and I got to test that. And I would say I definitely did that for myself. I did that to prove to myself that I could do it, that those limits don't have to be followed, that they can be negotiated with, and that you can achieve the things that you think that you can. I think we have a radical problem in our society right now where people are so demoralized in their beliefs and inabilities to do things. Oh, I can't lose weight. Oh, I can't get fit. I can't get a six pack. I can't bench 200, 225, whatever. I can't. It's worth acknowledging, but it doesn't have to be the law that governs you. And that's sort of what I'm trying to get at in this video. And what I focus on is the perception of most human beings. When they see something, they see it as dangerous. It's like, I think I'm talking about the thresholds. Somebody who looks at you walking on a fence and they think it's dangerous. To them, it is, because they don't feel competent enough in themselves to complete the task. But if you know in yourself that you are competent enough to complete the task, at that point, you're using the other person's opinion of their limitations to limit you. And this is where that sort of peaceful slavery, I'm not saying just go fight people, but I'm saying if you allow the public opinion,
I would hope not.
you'll basically be enslaved to the public opinion at the cost of trying to maintain the peace. That's what I'm trying to get at.
So my take on that, which is a little bit complicated, is that now that I've moved into this career called special education, and it's interesting. I got into it as a paraprofessional, and what I started as was basically a job coach. And so I worked in a adult program teaching 18 to 22-year-olds who were severely intellectually impaired. These are people with Down syndrome and so forth. Various like trisomic disorders as well, because it has a certain amount of physical affect. Like, for example, they can't turn their head side to side because their neck vertebrae are malformed. They have stunted fingers. They have things like their ankles don't work right, so they walk duck-footed with their toes pointed out so they can't run. And they have issues learning how to balance. And so it's interesting because these were kids who had physical limitations, and then we had to teach them how to go get a job and how to maintain it, and then also like how to teach them to be physically competent. And to be sort of embodied in the best manner possible given the circumstances of their physical limitations. And it was interesting because a lot of it was like, oh, don't push them too hard, such and such. But I had a student who spent 19 years in a wheelchair, and I taught him how to walk. It was very interesting because he was severely intellectually impaired, was nonverbal, but could vocalize. So no access to the English language, but could, make utterances and stuff. And he ended up being able to walk. It took 35 days, 5 hours a day. So like, it was something like 150 odd hours of work, or it was 165 hours of work to get him to walk. And I got him to walk 2/3 of a mile. And this was after 19 years of being in a wheelchair. And the advantage of that is this kid, because he didn't walk, he wore adult diapers. And because he wore adult diapers, he was incontinent. And then to manage the incontinence, they had given him laxatives. And so the advantage of this was you could begin to get the kid out of the wheelchair, which would then give them continence. So now the kid can actually be toilet trained. The kid can then stand up and walk here and there. And then it's a general improvement in the quality of life. Now, a lot of us kind of take that for granted, but for him, that's like a complete and total revolution of his entire existence.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of my connection to that, because like I don't jump off of buildings like you
No, man, but the limitation mindset, I think it's important in some sense, because it does keep you from jumping off of cliffs. Because I don't jump off all the cliffs. I just jump off the ones I know I can survive off of, or I think I can, right? So, and the fact that I'm still here is proof that I can do it okay, right? But what you're talking about highlights just, it's not necessarily even sort of your patients or the people you're working with, the mental limitations. It's the limitations of the culture, limitations of the beliefs of the people around them, their community. What do they believe is possible for them? And so many people are so hampered by what their parents believe they can do, what their family and friends believe they can or should do. Your dad was a doctor, your mom was a doctor, so you should be a doctor. I just realized I have a few doctors in my family. I'm the only one to even consider joining the military. So this was quite it was a bit of a desperate attempt, but you don't have to live by the limitations is what I'm getting.
Do you think, Ryan, that also ties into, I feel like that's a very also like, honestly, it's a powerful American mindset too. Like I feel like Americans maybe this is me, but I come from a family of, immigrants, and, I
Mhm.
get the feeling, like, I've seen it a lot with immigrant families, that there are very strict limitations on what you can and can't do a lot of the time. But I feel like living
Right.
here, I've embraced the sort of like mindset of, you may not get there, but if you don't put the effort in and at least not constrain yourself, who else is going to believe in you to that extent?
100%.
Like,
Yep.
that's how I relate to it, at least, sort of the mindset change of, like, I feel like it's a very American mindset of, like, to push as hard as you can, like, pull yourself up like the bootstraps, because otherwise, like, who's gonna do it? Like, if you're not willing to even invest in yourself.
No, I 100% agree. I think some of the founders' mindset, was very much that way. It's like, yes, we can. We don't necessarily need daddy government, daddy monarchy, right? In case of the American Revolution.
Yeah.
But what I'm hoping for, since I think there's a huge victim mentality coming out right now, just regarding, I think part of it is the way that technology has kind of warped our attention span and sort of how it's sucked our life energy away in some sense. But there's a huge victim mentality coming around. I think what we need, I think everyone can benefit from. I'm kind of a radical optimist, is to try to take radical responsibility for every single aspect of your life, both the bad, yes, because that's the classic one. A teacher or your dad's going to go, well, you need to take responsibility for your mistakes. And I would say you do. However, you also need to give yourself credit for the things that you did succeed in.
Yes.
Because if you don't have any counteracting positive flow in your mind, in your attitude, you're just fighting yourself, which goes back to, if you ever watched Fight Club, I mean, the guy's fighting with himself. He's fighting with aspects of his unconscious mind. I hope I said that right. But, and I think we all do that. You are your biggest friend and your worst enemy. And if you can start to befriend yourself, I mean, if you watch some of my content, it's like, you can do that too. Now, I'm not saying that you just go out there and just try it. If you watch that video on dangerous freedom, peaceful slavery, start small, start on the ground. What is the next smallest step that I can take to get that much closer? Whatever percentage is okay for you. And some of that might be lowering your threshold for success. Maybe I want to do 50 push-ups in a week. Okay. Or like by the end of the week at one set. It's like, well, I can only do 10. Well, maybe I go for 11 tomorrow. And maybe I don't do it in a week. Maybe we wait, maybe we expand our time scale. Just give yourself that space to accomplish the goal without giving up. You don't have to give up. You don't have to fall into limitations.
Yeah, on that note, since you've done coaching, how do you deal with personality types that are maybe more pessimistic than yourself, that they don't believe in themselves? Like, what strategies do you use to get them to sort of break out of their shell? Like, do you have any go-to strategies?
Do I? No. That's actually a really great question. I'm trying to think of how to make it a succinct answer. So I've taught kids ranging from the ages of 3 to 68. So 68 is not a kid, I know, but
they're just a big kid.
You get a massive, massive range of people. I've taught kids that don't speak English. I've taught kids that don't, they don't have a hand. Like, we're teaching them how to do a cartwheel. It's this belief, I don't have a hand, I can't do a cartwheel. I was like, no, you just put what you do have in the hand thing on the mat, and you can do it. But to answer your question regarding attitudes, depending on the age of the person, it depends a little bit. But for the most part, I try to help the individual see how absurd and how detrimental their current attitude is. And I try to do it through humor. I try to get them to laugh about it. And try to ask them, like, I'm trying to think of an example here. I'm really nervous about this move. I was thinking about it all last night. I was like, well, did it help? And then they'll look at you and they'll smile and they go, no. Are you thinking about it? It's so simple. And if they're a young kid, they'll laugh at it, right? And sometimes you can get an older folk you get an older folk in there that you can that you're teaching. Sometimes they'll laugh at it because they can see the absurdity in it as well. So that's sort of my angle. I go for absurdity first, try to go to humor, try to lighten it up, and we can get into sort of my take on the human nervous system and how much, if you take in too much information, you can overload the nervous system, and then you get panic attacks. You get kids that are nervous for no reason. They become angry, become frustrated. release that through laughing helps a lot. So if you can get them to do that, that's a fantastic start, because that means that they don't have to be fixed in that one, I'm showing up at the gym and I'm nervous because they want me to do a pullover. They want me to do a cartwheel or a backflip or a front flip or whatever. Instead of that, just pull them out of it. It's not that serious. And the other one I think I did when I was in India, I had a bunch of kids in a sand pit. They were trying to do a back handspring. And I told them, I said, guys, they get really nervous. They get really tense, and then they go, and then they do it. I get nervous watching them because they're nervous and they can spread that. I say, guys, remember why you do this. You do this for fun. You're not doing this because you're the champion. You're doing this because you love it. So you have to connect back to the reason, that core reason. And you guys did it already when you asked me in the beginning of the episode. You asked me, what got you started? If you can stay connected to that origin, to that inspiration, that thing that drove you, that spark, or at least proximal, get close to it. I think that's one of the strongest places you can be, as long as you're moving from intention and positivity as opposed to obligation, which is what a lot of people do, especially, immigrant families, like parents, like, you have to be a doctor, you have to do this, you have to be an accountant. I've seen many friends, hate their jobs because they did what their parents told them. But if you can stay connected to why you're doing something, they say in the military all the time, what's your why? And it's really annoying, but it's really true. Like, you really, like, if you take it seriously and you get into it and you go, okay, why am I really here? Then you can begin to trust and have faith in the direction that you want your life to go. Because if you don't have a positive connection to your life, you're just breeding resentment over years and years. Because if your spark isn't you, if your spark isn't some part of you that was finding joy and exploring and trying to become the best self you can, I mean, what else can breed there but resentment? So I hope that answers your question.
I actually really like that as a talking point. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next break. And then I think I'd actually like to pick up from there, because I can also talk to that as well. So we're going to throw in another video by Ryan, and then we'll be right back. All right.
Yo, what's up, Cirque du Soleil? My name is Ryan Murphy here in San Carlos, California. I'm 27 years old and I'm applying for your lead stuntman position in your new show in Vegas. I've been training parkour and free running for about 10 years now, a little over that. I practice several different types of martial arts: Kempo karate, Krav Maga, Muay Thai, Kung Fu in the Wushu sort of form, ninjutsu over around 6 years now. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate some of those, some of the weapon stuff that I can do, as well as some of the parkour and free running aspects in the later end of the video. I've been training stunts, stunt work, and stunt choreography, including stage combat, for just throughout my entire movement career. I've got a couple of examples of projects that I've worked on with that, both coaching, choreographing, and performing as well. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and hope to hear from you guys soon. Thanks.
Hey, this is Keenan, and I'm your co-host for the LFG podcast, and we're back after that break. We were just looking at the video of Ryan's audition with the people over at Cirque du Soleil. He was doing some sword play and some various stunts there that were pretty cool. And we're just going to kind of talk in this section about kind of where you see things going in the future because, you've done a lot of auditions, you've done a lot of stuntman work. It sounds like you're trying to actually become like a professional stuntman. Like, I see you in the future being in like Hollywood as like, you know, Tom Cruise's stunt double or some shit like that. You know,
Because we all know Tom Cruise will still be around forever and ever.
oh God, they'll
Yeah,
mummify
probably still sprinting.
they'll mummify him. Yeah. So you've done so many things and stuff. Where do you see this going for yourself now?
With regards to movement, so that's the thing. Like I had dabbled a few times with the idea, especially after. So they film the newest Ninja Warrior I did, which was 20. Oh goodness, I think it was 2017, and they filmed that at Universal Studios. So I'm right there with people going to auditions and stuff. And I thought, okay, like is this kind of the life that I want to be? I mean, maybe. My biggest issue with anything Hollywood and anything just gig related is that it's not that stable. Now, that being said, I'm sitting here in the military. It's very stable in a sense of first and the 15th, you're paid. But at the same time, you could just be called up to go and deploy, and then you have like a month, and then that's it. So definitely not good for if you want to do that kind of gig work. So I'm trying to think about sort of what I want to do in the future. Some of the philosophy that I spoke with you guys about earlier, that's sort of taking precedence in my mind. Like I'm still planning on being fit. It's actually the primary way I intend on staying fit is doing all these alternative movement communities and just making sure my mind is my body are connected and fresh and keep learning new skills. That's something that I intend to keep myself forward into the future as an athlete. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back get my master's. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking in psychology, probably counseling, eventually start a private practice, and then we'll go from there. Because then maybe I can develop a nest egg of funds, and then I can sort of distribute. I can have time to distribute. I could hire people to, distribute this kind of stuff. I could decide what kind of projects I want to get done. I think that'll give me the financial nest egg that I might need to sort of do this in the way that I want. The other issue that I had with stunt work was just the fact that when you're a stuntman, you go and you do what they say. You do it how they say. It's kind of like the military. But you go and you do what they say, how the director wants it. And the other thing you have to deal with is that they're usually like the stunt coordinator is usually on point, but like the director doesn't always know exactly what it takes for you to do a fall. So when they ask you to do it 15 times on concrete, you have to deal with that tomorrow. And it depends how old you are, how resilient you are, your health insurance. So that's sort of been my thing. So I kind of like, I feel like stunts is kind of a hobby, even though I'm developing sort of like a media, I don't want to say empire, but just like I'm developing channels right and left. So we'll see. Maybe something will click, and that's kind of what's happening with the primary channel. If you guys want to see any of the travel stuff that I did, that's on Transcend Sabers. That's my primary YouTube channel. It's got all sorts of stuff on it, and that's one of the reasons why I had to branch off and niche, because I was losing followers because I'd post one set of things for 1 month, and then I'd lose another ones if I'd post other stuff. So I've been trying to niche them to try to give audiences, when they come to that channel, to get exactly what they want. So go to Transcend Sabers if you want to see cool lightsaber choreography. That's another fun one. I met a guy named Mike Starwalker on Instagram. I think he's at 100,000 followers. We won best choreography for the Saber Comp 2020, I believe. If you want to look up Saber competition, lightsaber choreography competition 2020, we won best choreography. So he's a real world-class athlete, and I highly recommend checking that guy out. And then my original channel.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. I mean, what you're doing right there, diversifying your channels is pretty interesting. That's syndication, and that leads to a lot of opportunity. I mean, so do you ever see a point in your life where you might be like interested in having a family and kind of like planning some roots? Is that something you're like trying to aim towards?
Yeah, no, I'm of the growing belief that one of the primary purposes of our physiology, I mean, you're born with, certain parts, and other people are born with other parts, and um, you come you come together in love,
You got a
hopefully love and not contempt,
thing-a-ling-a-ling.
and you make more people. And that the purpose of our this is kind of deeper than I intended to go, but the purpose of our species is to magnify love, consciousness, and awareness in ourselves and the world and other people, and to pass that forward through the infinite portal that is children.
Oh yeah, you're
And it took
definitely
me a
gonna
while to
go
come
into
to
the
that,
right
but a
field.
little deeper than I wanted to go. But so the answer is yes. I
A
would love to
little.
have kids. Just got to find the right lady.
Oh
You know,
God, a little bit
uh,
deeper, huh? We're just giving you so much shit. You're trying to spill out your heart to us, and we're just giving you shit right now.
that's fine.
We kind of have to be assholes every now and again. Yeah, that part though about going a little bit deeper, you sound like one of those gurus, trying to start one of those weird little orgy cults.
That's why I'm saying counseling definitely is a good path for sure. You've got
Yeah, I figure it's
you've got
stable.
the
It's a
voice for
place.
it too.
I talked to a guy. He made, six figures. I mean, that's not a guarantee that I will, but like over time, your time in there, you develop a client list, and then you can also you get to know them. You can kind of decide, hey, I've got this service, I've got this product, I got this book, I got this. If you have an interest, here it is. And there's another way to sort of help them in ways that you don't necessarily have time for in a 1 hour session. So I'm really focused on trying to help as many people as I can, try to help them shatter and transcend their personal, physical, emotional, spiritual limits. That's sort of my aim with the various media accounts that I have, like in some sense, in some way. So I'd love to have a family. That'd be great. I think it's kind of one of our key purposes on the planet. And I think maybe that I'm on the right path finally. Maybe I got future that might be able to handle all that.
Yeah, I mean, building that foundation is always very difficult. I respect that. I think the biggest thing is knowing what it is you're asking for, because whatever it is you ask the universe for, you will get. You attract that kind of energy. I think it was the strangest secret. It forgetting the guy's name who authored it, but he said, "You become what you think about."
Right.
Um,
Yep.
and I believe in that, and I think that one of the things that, and this will probably be one of the last takeaways, is that when I've worked with students, especially on the autistic spectrum, they don't understand how how to orient their behavior or their expectations, because they have an inability to perceive certain parts of the social dynamic due to being on the spectrum. And because of that, they don't know how to ask the right way for things. And I don't mean like ask other people, but like ask of themselves, ask of their community, through their work, through whatever it is they're engaging in. And it's interesting because some of them are hyper intelligent, but then they lack that nuance. And you have to have all of your intentions aligned towards a positive outcome. Otherwise,
Yep.
it's just not going to come out right.
Right.
We got a few minutes left. We're going to go into our final segment, which is going to be fucked up flashcards. That's
Okay.
that's a segment favorite. That's a podcast favorite. We're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to come right back with the timer set up, and we'll get on to the last segment. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
No worries.
Hey, this is Keenan, co-host of the LFG podcast, and we are back. We are with Ryan Murphy, the American Ninja Warrior stuntman, and we are going to go into our next segment. Amir's going to take it over in just a moment. And Amir.
All right, hey guys, we're doing fucked up flashcards. You know how it is. This is one of the pod favorites of the show. It's where we just go through a whole bunch of fucked up scenarios for the guest, and the guest chooses one, and they all have consequences. So let's get it.
Oh boy.
Let's get it started. Ryan, you're gonna get a nice taste of what the show's about now.
All right.
Okay. Here we go.
All right, here we go. Let's start it rolling, Keenan.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
All right, Ryan. First one: bee sting on your eyelid, or you roll your ankles.
That's a good one. I'm gonna say ankle because I know how to heal the ankle very pretty quickly.
All right,
I
you
can
got
recover.
stung all over your body. You're dead.
Oh,
Okay.
done.
Next,
I'm out.
next one: surfing or skydiving.
That's why are these so hard? I like to skydive, so I've only done it once, but I'll skydive because it's unmastered for me.
All right, you went surfing, you drowned. Good luck.
Dang it.
All right, next one: mountaineering or cave diving.
Also, super hard. Are
Yeah,
you?
right?
Is this like my horoscope?
Yeah,
We'll do cave diving because elevation hurts sometimes.
all right. Okay. All right. You're stuck on the mountain for days. Okay. Next one: Ninja Warrior or Cirque.
Ninja Warrior or
Cirque.
circus. Let's do circus.
Okay.
Cirque du
All right.
Soleil.
Cool. All right. Cool. You're in the circus. Okay. Okay.
Sweet. Or not. I don't know.
I'm just gonna do a few more, even though the timer went off. Whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So here's a couple more for you: hanging on a ledge for 15 minutes or climbing up a building. Since I know you.
Oh,
Like
building. Building 100%.
Building. Oh man, I didn't account for that one. All right, that's fine. Sorry, dude.
Got food for that all over the world.
Sorry, dude. The scaffolding wasn't very secure, so you're
Okay.
gonna have to figure it out now.
All right, no
next
problem.
Next one. Memorize 20 mathematical formulas in 10 minutes, or participate in American Ninja Warrior on no sleep.
Oh, well, I already did that. So that second one, because now I know how to do it. So
All right, good answer. Good answer. We'll give you that one. No consequences there because you've done it. All right, last one: Thai food or Cambodian food, and be careful about what you choose here.
they were both good when I was there. I got to do Thai food.
Oh man, the Khmer people hate you now.
I figured.
All right, we're gonna call the fucked up flashcards at that. Hey Ryan, I just wanted to say that I really appreciate you coming on and talking
man.
with us. I mean, it's really trippy. I'm now 32. You're like 31.
One.
Yeah, I'm 32, and I've known you since I was 10.
Man.
That's fucking weird.
2
Dude.
decades, of like a fifth of a century, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk to you in another decade.
Yes, sir.
JK.
That's right.
I think it's cool though that you've really chased it down. You've gone forward with living your life as best as you can, and you've been fearless about it. And yeah, man, I got a lot of respect for what you do. We'd love to have you on the show to do a deep dive where you talk a little bit more about the lightsaber stuff you do and all the other interesting hobbies and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's give Ryan maybe 2 minutes to shout out a few folks that he wants to shout out. So Ryan, take it away. Do some shout outs, including your channels if you want.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much again for having me. If you guys like the philosophy and the higher level concepts that I kind of brought up about consciousness and philosophy, you can go ahead and check me out on Transcend Movement Academy on YouTube. That's Transcend Movement Academy, 3 words, on YouTube. I'm traveling the world, talking to you philosophically similarly to what I'm doing right now, just on rooftops and in fields, on mountains, and various other things. If you're interested in what it's like to live in another country, I'm pretty sure I have travel videos on there as well. If you're more interested in me jumping off of buildings, dressed up like a video game character, Nathan Drake from Uncharted, you can look up Uncharted Parkour in real life, and that's on YouTube as well. And then the primary, if you want to see award-winning lightsaber choreography, you can look up at Mike Starwalker on Instagram. That's my channel where I have him on there is Transcend Sabers, 2 words. And then Instagrams for me,
Don't worry
Transcend
too much
_
about
limits
Don't worry
and
about the handles.
Transcend
We'll
and
put those.
VMT.
Yeah, we'll put the handles for sure. Is there anyone in specific you want to just quickly shout out besides Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. My brother, he's a Cirque du Soleil acrobat. He's had a couple contracts now. That's at in Shawnity Murphy. That's INSEANITYMURPHY. At Shawnity Murphy, I think is how he wants it pronounced. But you go ahead and check him out. He's a world-class acrobat and hoop diver. Help him out, show him some love, and if you can follow him, that'd be great.
Sweet, we will definitely do that. Great to have you again. It's been a pleasure. I haven't seen you for forever. It feels
It's been a while. It's been a minute, man.
Keenan the same, but probably sooner than I did last.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna call the episode here, guys. It's been amazing. And as we kind of Keenan and I laid out the seasons, we want to give exposure to a lot of different folks who are doing different things, and this is one of them that I think is very unique, that Ryan does. So please show him some love, and yeah, we'll be back pretty soon. And look forward to seeing all of you again. Take care
All right.
and have a great day. Peace.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate your time.